Alrighty, guys. We have the privilege today of Mr. Nick from Moog Australia.
Hello.
He's brought in the Labyrinth, which is the parallel generative analog synthesizer.
That's right. Yeah. This is the latest in the Mother ecosystem range. It's Labyrinth, and it leads you down many a maze. Like you said, it's a parallel generative analog synthesizer.
So we've got two VCOs here.
Two VCOs. Yep. So your main VCO is a sine wave, a classic, beautiful, pure sine wave that Moog is very well known for. And then your second oscillator is a mod VCO, so you can add it to the mix here. But its main task in life is to modulate the first oscillator or a bunch of other things. So if we add a little bit of FM, you can modulate the first oscillator. It also has ring mod, which is modulating the amplitude. And so with a combination of the two, you can get some pretty out there tones. Of course, you can add it to the mix.
So you can blend?
You can blend the two, yeah. So these two oscillators run into the mixer. The Moog mixer, so this is based off the CP3, which is the large format modular mixer. Beautiful mixer, and it actually adds quite a lot of dense harmonics as you overdrive it. So at 12 o'clock you get a pure tone, but as you turn it up,
so you're introducing those overtones.
Yeah, you can just hear it. It has quite a lot of impact on the upper harmonics as it distorts a little bit, which is just beautiful kind of analog distortion. And so there are two.
And obviously there's two VCOs, and you mentioned before independent gain control for both. So
yep, independent gain control for both, and then they run into a really interesting signal path from there. So this is the first time that Moog has done a voltage controlled wavefolder, and what that is, so Moog is traditionally known for doing subtractive synthesis. So you start with a sine wave or an oscillator, and then you sculpt away at it. So you're subtracting, so using tools like filters. This introduces wavefolding, which is a form of distortion, where it adds as it pushes the wave up to peaking level. Instead of distorting, it folds the wave back on top of itself, and it creates these beautiful upper harmonics. So we can take a listen to that. It's got a couple of different ways to run that. It's got a couple of different ways to change the signal flow. So you can run into the wavefolder and then into the filter, meaning you can kind of tame some of that.
Is there a ceiling on the folding? Because you said, what's the benefit of a folding? Well,
yeah, the wavefolder. Yeah, so it's like as it pushes the wave to where it would usually distort, it folds it back over on itself, and so it's adding these kind of upper harmonics. It's kind of like a beautiful distortion.
And that's all based off voltage, you said?
Yeah, so they're voltage controlled. We'll get to that in a little minute, because there's a number of different ways you can influence that in the system. So you can run it through the wavefolder first and then into the filter. You can run it through the filter first and then into the wavefolder. Or you can run them in parallel. It's a really flexible signal path, and it is kind of it's part of the parallel nature of this device. It's got these two worlds that exist at the same time.
Picking up on a theme, obviously we touched on the Muse before, but this kind of parallel dual timbre.
Yeah. I mean, truly, like, the parallel nature of this device is, it's not just the two oscillators, it's not just the two different forms of synthesis, but it's also these two really powerful sequencers.
Yep.
These are a generative sequencer. So if we hit, so right now we're listening to this first sequencer, and it is sending to this oscillator here. So you can turn this down. That's like unquantized, not being affected by the quantization of the sequencer. You can set the sequencer's scale and the note. So the root note is determined by the main oscillator. but it's got these really cool knob here. So as you turn up the corrupt knob until 12 o'clock, it will keep the same amount of steps and start adding notes in. So if we put some more steps in.
And how many steps can you have total?
So they're two 8-step sequences, but you can chain them together to get 16.
So one long 16 basically.
But it's a really interesting sequencer, and the ethos behind it is to create these happy accidents and then kind of find something you like and grab them. So yeah, as it's
the happy accidents.
Yeah, it's a little kind of like
controlled chaos.
Yeah, when you find something you like, you just knock that corrupt knob back, and it will stop corrupting the sequence. As you move over 12 o'clock, it starts adding steps in as well as notes, and at full, it will start generating random sequences.
And that'll just go on and on until you turn the corruption
right.
off.
And if you find something you like, you can just go back to corrupt, and you've got this back to you.
And so, are we still on the first parallels? So we haven't introduced the second one yet.
Well, the second one is running, and there's a lot of different things. They got little different paths inside this maze. So this first sequencer is sending note information up to this oscillator here, but you can also send it up to this wave folder. And so now the sequence is affecting
So how did you send? Was there a send?
Yeah,
or?
so you can see this little knob here. It's a sequencer 1 amount. So this is the amount that sequencer 1 will affect the wave folder. And it's great because now you've got this generative sequencer, so changing notes and affecting the wave folder at the same time. And so this we can use the same technique to adjust the filter using the second sequencer here. And you get these really kind of like interesting generative patterns. And the sequencer 2 can affect both the second oscillator and the filter as well. At the moment, it's being triggered. There are these 2 envelopes here. So one is a VCA, so that's the length of the note, and then the second one, you've got it go all over the system, so you can adjust the envelope onto the filter or the envelope onto the wave folder. So you've got this quite complex modulation options, and they're all at the heart driven by these 2 sequences. You can change length, so you can have like polymetric polyrhythms.
So, and the difference between length and the decay,
So the length is the length of the pattern, and the decay is the length of the note.
Gotcha.
So if I hold that open, So
and how do you change is it like a tab for the length?
For the length, so it's just, you can see these, so right down to 1 or back to 0.
Okay.
So quite flexible. Or you can hold length and hit reset to go back to a state. It also has a buffer to save stuff in. So say if we like this, we can hold down buffer and it will save that, and then we can corrupt it, go into some other territory, and then go back to that saved state by holding buffer.
And is that buffer save? Are there banks, or is it just one at a time?
There's just one, but it gives you this nice little kind of option to like go to a place that you like, and then go back there. And then in the modular realm, that is quite difficult to do sometimes. So
if you're creating and you want to go nuts, then there's that 30 seconds or something. You don't want to lose it.
As a performance tool, it's great because you can really kind of let it go its thing, but you have a safe place to go back to. Or for a drop or a.
That's cool. That's a great feature. But for a lot of modular synthesis, I guess it's just controlled chaos, like you say, but you just have to keep it going, and there's no way to just save it.
No, it is great. You just find something you like. You've got 2 options. You can just dial back the corruption, and that will just stop the adjusting the generative nature of the sequencer. It'll lock in what it is, or you can go back to the safe state. It's a fantastic tool. It's got a bunch of flexibility when you start patching it. Obviously, you can use these two sequences to drive. They have independent CV outputs, and they can be independently clocked, so you can get some really interesting things as part of a greater system.
Do you want to touch on what about resonance?
Yep. Yeah, so the filter is really interesting. This is
They feel great as well.
But yeah,
tactile.
and Moog, obviously known for their low pass filter, but this is a variable state filter, meaning you can scroll. It doesn't have to be a low pass. You can go all the way through to a band pass.
And that's affecting both VCOs at the same time, or?
Yeah. So the VCOs run into the mixer, and the mixer runs into the sculpt.
So I get signal path. It's all just left to right.
Yep.
Sort of.
Yep. Totally. Yep.
Because I've always looked at these and gone, where do you start? But that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Start there and then build as you go.
Go this way. yeah. No, totally. But yeah, this is a really beautiful filter. You can find some really nice sweet spots with it. And it's quite a new world for Moog to have these variable state filters, but also this wavefolding. It's like goes to some like really crazy places. It also has pitch envelope, so it can do like deep fan percussive stuff.
Whatever you just played, that sub kind of frequency that came out was
it gets so low.
Yeah.
That low part. But yeah, so it can do like percussive.
And what was that? You hit bit shift?
Oh, so I'm just adding bit shift is like, so there are two states for the sequencer. It is either on or off.
Yep.
And so if you hit bit shift, it'll shift what the state is, on or off. So if you don't have a step, you can add them in. Or you can turn them off, if that makes sense. And you can also like move them around, which is pretty cool. So you can move like if you can move the whole feel of the sequence without losing the notes or the state. Yeah.
Super flexible.
It sounds great, like as a little kind of techno machine. Sometimes you just want, all you need is a kick drum and you're off to a whole world of.
Is there some kind of simple patching you can show us of your application?
Yeah, it's very much designed to be part of the ecosystem, so it works really well as a front end to use these sequences to sequence other things, but there is no shortage of patchable. You can take all the envelopes out and you can change, so you don't have to be constrained by these pre-assigned knobs, so if you want to use sequencer 2 and double up to make some crazy wave folding, you can, when independent of your sequencer 1, you can take the. So now this sequencer is adjusting the fold here, and so if I throw some more, and if I can adjust the range of that, so that's the width that will be going, turn the corruption up, so now it will start to. Yeah, so it's got a whole lot of crazy places that you can go to with it.
It feels pretty organic, like it kind of.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it kind of has a life of its own. So, but it's organic and controlled chaos is a term I really like, because you can say like that's it and stop it there, and now you turn the corruption down and it won't keep going,
So keynote corruption is like the handbrake.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so when you find those places, and then you can take an idea and expand upon it by letting it get a bit crazy with the folding now, and that distortion is. Oh, it's so beautiful, and I hope you can hear it on the internet, but on these
whack those headphones on, guys.
Yeah, it's the sub is you get locked in the maid, and once you add it into a bigger system, you can do all sorts of things. It's a really great way to control a bigger system, because they use these two sequences to control, Spectravox or Mother 32 or whatever.
So you'd say you said put this at the front of your chain, sort of as the driving force behind it.
That's what I do. Yep. But no rules. It's modular. You just try something. If it works for you, awesome. But yeah, I find these two sequences are just so intuitive and so easy, and they come up with these great ideas that you kind of want to share it with the rest of your system.
Well, and now you can save it essentially,
yeah,
and actually
totally.
show someone.
Yeah, totally.
Nick, what is there anything you want to leave us with the Labyrinth?
Just, I recommend your customers get into a store and try it for themselves. It's such a deep but intuitive synth, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, just come into the store and try and touch it and hear it and experience it.
Do you want to play us out? Just
sure.
Go